Good morning, everyone. It's 9 a.m., May 22nd. It's the time to start the Cottington County Board of Commissioners weekly meeting, and we'll begin the meeting with the salute, Pledge of Allegiance. And Jim, you want to lead us this morning?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Jim. A couple of housekeeping chores. If you have a cell phone, please silence it or turn it off. If you do get a call you have to take, please go out in the rotunda and take the call so you don't disrupt whoever happens to be speaking. Also, this meeting is being streamed live, so if you wish to address the commission board, you will be streamed, so everyone will get a chance to see you. Is there anyone that would like to address the commission during the open, so we can allow time when we get to that point? Is there anyone that would like to have some issue or something that they'd like to address us? Seeing none, then we will...
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
Okay, we have a motion to approve the agenda.
I'll second.
Second, there will be one change. We will remove item number 8, action to adopt Indian Burial Guideline and Procedure. We'll move that to a later date. Sarah wanted some time to review the policy with legal counsel, and so that's the reason for that. Any other changes? I've also had a couple requests for executive session, which is, we'll get to that when we're finished up. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. What about the minutes?
Move to approve as emailed.
Second.
Commissioner Hatton, Commissioner Gable, any discussion? Any discussion, any corrections? Seeing none, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All same sign, the motion carries. Monthly reports, emergency management. Jim? Good morning, Jim.
Good morning.
Beautiful morning out there. A little foggy.
A little foggy.
Jim, is that on? I think it's on down there at the bottom, the red light.
Yes, the red light's on.
All right, we're good to go.
We're good to go. Just got a couple things. On May 11th, our generator maintenance person was working on the generators. We did discover a problem with the fuel pressure system on the large generator down here at the Law Enforcement Center. We had to order a new pressure pump. It's pressurizes the system. The generator's still operational, but the backup system was down. So we ordered the part, and he's going to be back here late Thursday afternoon to install that new part on that generator. So just so that you're aware that we are fixing a problem that we have there. And that's me.
Did it kick on yesterday when the lights went out?
Yes, it did.
It did come on.
Yeah, it did come on. The big generator came on. It's sucking fuel, but it's like 13.5 feet to the bottom of the tank below ground. So we're pulling fuel up through there, and then this pressure pump makes sure that the fuel gets up to the generator, but it was still sucking fuel up through the lines with just the fuel pump off the generator. But we want to get that fixed and make sure that we don't have problems.
Yeah.
May 18th, I attended the Law Enforcement Advisory Board meeting up at LATI. I'm one of the board members for that program. And we assist the law enforcement program. I applied for grant money to teach hazmat training to all the law enforcement students up there. And then we open it up to other departments throughout the county. Anybody that wants to attend the hazmat training, we have them attend that class up at LATI. So we're kind of getting two birds with one stone there. On May 18th, I attended a fireworks planning meeting. We're planning for the 4th of July fireworks out at the Redwood Center. So myself and the search and rescue team will be assisting with that. Again, it's going to be on July 3rd is when the fireworks are going to be this year, the night before the 4th.
I don't get a nice rain on the 2nd, right?
Yeah, we hope so.
Yeah.
So everything's nice and dry. Or nice and damp.
Nice and dry.
We don't want it dry.
And let's just plan for a nice gentle rain on the 2nd of July, all right?
Today, we're assisting with hosting a medical response to bombing incidents class that's being held over at the Watertown PD. I helped arrange for that, the instructors who come in to teach that class. That class is taught by instructors through Texas A&M, so it's a nationally sponsored class through Homeland Security. And that was yesterday, and it goes through today. On June 4th, I'll be assisting the auditor's office with delivery of election equipment. And then again, I'll assist on June 6th, picking that election equipment up after the June 5th primary.
Thank you very much.
You betcha. We're glad to do it for you, Cindy. On June 5th, we're going to be having a training exercise in conjunction with law enforcement, Watertown Fire Department, and Glacial Lakes Energy, the ethanol plant here on the south side of town. And that's where the exercise is going to be held.
What day was that?
Down there. What's that?
What day was that?
June 5th, next week.
Next Thursday.
Then on June 7th, I will be doing severe weather training out at the Farm Safety Camp, out at the Extension Center for the children that are attending Farm Safety Camp. So I'll be talking to them about sheltering in severe weather. On June 19th, for the members of the commission here that attend the LAPC meetings, June 19th will be our next LAPC meeting. And the last thing I got this morning that I wanted to talk to you about, and I was going to talk to you, but so that you were aware of it first, but the public opinion found out about it, and they hit the front page with our hovercraft. The Search and Rescue Support Organization purchased a hovercraft, and 100% of the cost of this hovercraft was covered by Search and Rescue Support. There was no county funds that was used to purchase the hovercraft, and we had to send 4 people to training before they allow us to take possession of the hovercraft. And we receive training funds through the United Way, and those training funds were used to pay for the fuel and the motel rooms and so forth for going down. I've got a couple of pictures of it here if you want to take a look at it and pass it around. You know, we've been talking about hovercraft for a number of years, and we never have purchased one. And this winter, in December, we had a pickup that dropped through the ice on Lake Compesca, and as we were rescuing the driver of that pickup, the pickup went through the ice and went down, and one of our members had a head concussion, and we dealt with that for 2-3 months with ongoing headaches and so forth. But at that point we talked about it, and what's nice about a hovercraft is that it floats on air. It's about 8 to 10 inches up off the surface where it's actually hovering. And you can start from a dry parking lot, you can go down the shoreline, you can go onto the ice, you can go out onto the water, you can come back off the water onto the ice. And it's much, much safer for the rescuers than being in a cold water submersion suit with a safety rope attached to it, and you're walking across thin ice and so forth. And you know, in the past, we went on the ice also and rescued animals, you know, which were putting a human at risk to try to save an animal. But with this, you know, we can just buzz out there, pick up a person that's fallen through the ice or an animal, and then turn around and come back to the shore and right up onto the dry shore again, So we're in the process of training with it now. Like I said, 4 members went down and had initial training, but there's a learning curve with this, so we're training with it. And after we get the 4 operators where they feel very comfortable with it, then we're going to be training some other members of the team so that they can also be ready to use it if need be. But we're looking at probably about 5 hours of training per person, you know, in order to be real comfortable with it. Because there's no brakes on it. You're hovering. There's one motor in the front of it that it puts down the air, the downflow of air, and then there's another motor in the rear of it that's your propulsion. And so if you lose your hover, you've still got a boat that's like an airboat. And if you lose the rear motor, the hover, it'll still float, and you can still propel yourself along slowly by just leaning like you would on a motorcycle or snowmobile. It'll still travel across the surface. But like I said, there are no county funds used for this purchase, and we think that it's going to be a valuable tool and a safer tool for rescues out there on thin ice.
How many passengers can you put on that thing? 4?
The crew is a 2-man crew, the operator, and then one other crew member, and you can have 1 or 2 victims that you can pull in and still go across and still hover.
You know, I was actually, when I found out that Search and Rescue was getting a hovercraft, I actually researched that a little bit online and watched some videos on YouTube of the Omaha Fire Department down in Papillion. In that area, they have one. And they send their teams out, and their personnel don't even have to get in the water.
Right.
If somebody's in the water, they just go out to them and pull them up, pull them over. So, I mean, it's a great tool.
Wherever they're at, you can just ease up to them and bring them up over the edge of the hovercraft as it's floating there, because it's all small boats.
Yeah, ice rescues is a key thing there. They're so dangerous, those ice rescues.
And they're fast. You can get out to them really, really
It's
quick.
really light, and you know, for loading and unloading it, it's on the trailer, and you start it up and you just put it in the idle hover mode, and it floats up, and you just guide it off the trailer onto the parking lot, and you can turn it around by hand, and you hop in, and away you go. You know, so we're excited about it. I think it's going to be an excellent thing, and the cost of it. The cost is less than the fishing boats that the guys are buying at the local boat dealers right now. It's by far. Wow. This was in the $40,000 range, and the new fishing boats are $60,000, $70,000. You know, so.
That is a new one, isn't it?
That's brand new.
Yeah. Are you storing it in the new garage out at the?
No. This is out Search and Rescue building out at the airport, and that's where that's being stored. To answer your question, as far as our storage building out there right now, I have the Snowcat out there. I have the state shelter trailer in there. I have the Red Cross shelter trailer in there, and it's full of generator trailer. It's full. I've got one little slot there, and we're going to be using that. I'm working with Milo. We're going to be using about an 8-foot by 20-foot section in my area to store stuff for the county to surplus sale in the fall. And we're going to start moving stuff out there and using that space because he's running out of space downstairs to store stuff.
Good.
So,
Well, congratulations on your purchase. That's great.
well, thank you very much.
It'd be a good tool for the county.
That's all I have this morning, unless there's
Any
other
questions for Jim?
No, thank you at all.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Jim?
Good job. All right, Brad, did you hear from Brad this morning? Nope. And we
Steve is
go on
here.
to weeds, though. Steve's here. Good morning, Steve.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, Steve.
Looking for a little enthusiasm, Steve.
I guess to start out with, I guess my report is later this month because I had surgery at the beginning of the month, so I wasn't able to do that. So I suggested to have it later. That way, I'll probably even skip the June one because it's this late, and then go into July, and I'll have to probably have it a week later because I will be forth, so. But to start out, in April, had a weed board meeting, and that pretty well went through the budget and stuff like that for 2019, and then talked about a couple other issues. One issue is on the gravel pits in Cottington County, and so we had some of the weed issues there. And then also, spray truck is pretty well ready to go. He's working right now. He had a little bit of pump issues. So we had pump issues with it last year, so he's kind of trying to figure out it wants to like lock up. So we're getting some water issues, level lock up, airlock or something. Also the report is the new pickup. I was just informed the other day that delivery from the factory is supposed to be on the 6th of June from being sent out. Probably take a few days or so before I hear if it's in. So that's at least finally a long wait. We plan on starting next week on spraying. Leafy spurge is probably our biggest indicator of when to start. They are just starting to get some blossoms on now. So our plan is next week to start. Usually it's a little bit later this year, but everybody is late on a lot of things, farming and everything. So also, weed tour is this June 7th. It will be near Marvin at the Blue Cloud Abbey campground, and it'll start at 9 a.m.
We have our meeting that day.
And Tracy Rosenberg, the director out there of the campground, is going to provide a cowboy breakfast. And then we're also providing box lunches, which is getting paid for by the Supervisors Association. So we just need kind of a head count to know so we know how many box lunches to get made.
We'll be all on duty.
Yeah, you'll be all on duty that morning.
Where do you anticipate on all going?
We're just going to run around probably between Marvin and Summit. It'd be probably about a 3-mile radius.
Oh, I
That's
saw.
about it, yeah.
Because you're running from 8 a.m. till,
9 a.m. till about roughly 4
oh, okay.
and stuff. So we've got a few local pastures and some game fish land that we plan on going to and stuff. We will go see some, some native weeds and stuff like that, or similarities of noxious ones and stuff like that. So they're also at by Summit Lake of the game fish land. They have let me think a minute. Hound's tongue, which is a noxious weed, and hound's tongue sticks to clothes and sticks to a lot of animals, and it actually, I was there yesterday, and it is getting very invasive in there. So, and the game fish have been trying to treat it, but it's spreading quite rapidly into around that area. So
Is that how it spreads? It gets on clothes and just
gets on
relocated?
clothes and clothing and animals and so that.
Is
So
that them brown little things with 2 little prongs on the end?
no, it's similar looking like that, but these are a pale color, and they just got a lot of little sticky things alongside each seed pod. So also, in past years, we've had the biocontrol of poison hemlock. Last year, the Weed Board Association decided not to get a grant because they have a site out near the Sturgis area that actually had some pretty good bugs last year. So they're planning on doing a collection there sometime in June. As soon as I know, I'm going to try to put in a travel request to go out and help with collection on that. But it's a rough time. They don't really know for sure when to collect on that. So they'll give us a signal about a week or so ahead of time. So
Well, those West River bugs know how to act.
I don't know. We've had a hard time trying to get them to really establish well here.
I know.
But I think we just have a higher density out east here compared to out west. The poison hemlock here, though, will get probably close to almost 7, 8, 9 feet tall. The hemlock out there won't even get 6 feet
No,
tall.
no.
So it has to be environment and stuff, and why the bugs will establish a little better there.
But no joke aside, biological control is wonderful, but those bugs are a little touchy. I
Right.
know when the program originally started out, I was involved to some extent, and some that we thought should and did work in one place didn't work at all.
Right, exactly. So,
They didn't like the environment.
right. Also another topic, and so we had, I suppose you're well aware of, and that's the emerald ash borer. It is now in South Dakota. It is in the northern Sioux Falls area. This invades trees. John Ball figured about 250 to 300 trees were infested in northern Sioux Falls. They figured at probably about a 2-year or so right now establishment. They had actually it was prior already a set deal to turn around and show how they inject trees for emerald ash borer and for other diseases, because the only way you can treat some of this stuff is by injecting trees. And everybody kidded John that one day that they were doing that, did you actually establish it in somebody out of South Dakota, so it was here? And he says, and he goes, no, I did not, but it's kind of coincidental that we have this tree injection day, and 3 days prior we actually found some, so it was just a coincidence. So injection of trees costs about $150 to over $300 depending on the size of the tree. You inject every 2 years the tree. Pretty well the survival rate is really, really high if you do inject. I do know that there are some communities I heard, like Aberdeen was going to start cutting trees down for prevention. I think that's a little extreme. I do know that they said that it costs more to actually to cut trees down and dispose of them than it would be for injecting. But it just depends on the tree and how old the tree is. So.
Can you do a precautionary, or is it only after they
You can do precautionary. They are doing that in Sioux Falls now. The deal is I wouldn't really get excited about it here until we really know it's here, because it takes a while to get it to spread, possibly to move it across. But the first sign probably is more or less if you have some ash trees that are starting to defoliate at the very top. There are some other diseases that will do it, but that is probably one of the signs, and then have it investigated and stuff. So.
Anthracnose is the one that you don't want to get it mixed up with. The other thing you can do is you can roll sod back around the tree and use a pour-on and put it on the base of the tree. But I was in that business with Lake and Pesca Nursery, and I did some of the injection. And depending on the size of the tree, you have to have a drill, and you drill in, and then you pound this plug in, and then the plug just loaded with insecticide drips in the tree.
It just drips in the tree, and it takes. They turn around and says it probably takes, depending on the air temperature, it probably takes an hour or so for all the injections to get in.
Oh yeah, at least that.
Yeah. So.
Yeah.
And that's why the cost is just time consuming and stuff. So.
You said, Steve, that Sioux Falls is the only place that has it right now.
Sioux Falls in South Dakota is the only place currently at this present time.
But Aberdeen is doing prevention.
Aberdeen
cutting.
is doing some cutting of prevention. I think they're just a little bit kind of getting a little excited.
Okay.
But otherwise, the other spots is over in the cities. And then there's some up, I think they found some last fall up in Winnipeg. And then I know there's some down in Omaha, Nebraska. So it is it's not a fast spreader, so you just got to kind of keep an eye out for it.
The bad part of it is the ash tree, the green ash tree is dominant in
Right,
this area.
it's probably about 80%
Yep.
of the trees is ash trees. that is in the area.
I think it's 95% my
Yeah.
yard.
Sioux Falls said about when it first got into the cities and Michigan area, they quit planting ash trees as far as the city goes almost 8 years ago. Trying so that to get some other trees established instead, just in case for prevention measures. So, if the weather cooperates, granted, we need some warmer temperatures, but I plan on doing a leafy spurge collection at the end of June if everything goes. It's hard to say with this year being things later, it might be almost the 1st of July or so. But that is the intention on that. As far as that goes, I don't have anything else. Any questions?
Any questions for Steve?
It's a good update.
Thank you,
Good
Steve.
update. Thanks, Steve.
Thanks, Steve.
Go kill some weeds.
I'll try.
Thank you. We didn't hear from Brad yet. huh?
Brad is going to be unavailable today.
All right, we will move him to another date. He's available. Let's go to number 5 then. Update from Watertown Transit. Going to give us a update what's going on over there. I know they're busy. See them on the road every day. Except Sunday.
Extremely.
Run on Sunday.
I'd ask you to take the mic and make sure that you're talking to it, okay?
Introduce yourself.
Folks on
so
the
that
YouTube
people
screen.
know
You
who
look
you
more
are.
comfortable.
Okay, I'm Terry Hoffman, I'm the director of the Watertown Transit.
I'm Debbie Stuple, the assistant director at Watertown Transit.
Okay, our purpose today is just to give you guys an update on what is going on over there. We put in our application, and I'm sure you've noticed that we're asking for some more funding for next year. We're doing that across the board, the city, county, everyone that we get funding from. The reason being, the money to operate transit continues to go up, or the need, and the money we're getting from the government, from the state federal government, is staying the same. The pot isn't growing, so we're all being asked here, we have to ask, to try and get increases from where. So in light of that, we just want to tell you a little about what's going on over there. We have 13 vehicles now, we have 9 buses and 4 vans. We were just approved for another bus and another van. And there's some discretionary funds that we have applied for about a year ago that now are coming through, supposedly, but in transit world, that might be another year before we see it. So in the meantime, we have to come up with our local match and get our funds. We have 25 employees at current time. Now, how familiar all of you are with the transfer, usually when we talk about the number of vehicles we have and employees, people are surprised.
Are your employees required to have a CDL?
No, they're not. They get paid a little more if they do, but they're not required
Okay.
to have it.
And they're not all full-time. Do you have the breakdown of
Yeah,
full-time?
we have 2
part-time?
full-time drivers, and we have 2 full-time office people. So everyone else is part-time. We have a lot of people who are retired that retirement's not all they thought it would be, so they want to stay busy, and they come, they work for us, anywhere from 10 to 30 hours a week.
How many of your buses and vans are handicapped?
All the buses are handicap equipped, and then 2 of the 4 vans are. And that's, going forward, that's all the vans we purchase will be handicap accessible.
That include wheelchair
Yes.
accessible?
Yes. Yeah. Our operating budget over the last 2 years has been $635,000. We're anticipating that to increase to $700,000 or more in this next fiscal year. We do appreciate everything you guys have done for us in the past, and this year, they added money for a bus that you guys always run, and that's fantastic. We appreciate it very much. And just want you to know we're not, we have to ask her, we're going to be doing our job. So.
One other thing, you may want to tell the price of the buses and then what the county match is, so.
Okay, for a van, the price is roughly $40,000. We have to have 20% local match. Buses are usually run about, depending on the size of the bus, we were getting a 12 passenger with 2 wheelchair spots, those run about $72,000. Again, you need 20% local match. Some of the other ways we're trying to combat the rising costs, we are going to have our first rate hike since 2014. It's going to primarily affect the people in the city. It's going to go from $2.50 a ride to $3. Now, some of the areas on the outer limits, on the edges of our town, will stay at that $3. We're going to be $3 less than we're in town, instead of having 2 rates. We'll have a little higher rate for Lake Nebraska and White Pelican, and for the casino. Once you get outside of town to the other communities in the county, and Hamlin, Duval, and Clark counties, it's based on Medicaid rates. So that's what we base all that on.
So now that rate that you're talking about there, Terry, is that a round trip rate? Like if someone needs to ride to the store?
No,
Yeah.
that's one.
One way.
Okay.
Yeah. And that's in line with all the other 21 transits around the state. Now, some of the ones in the smaller towns, they charge a lot less because they don't have nearly as far to travel.
Right.
Our town is, you guys all know, is really spread out compared to a lot of places. It's can easily be a 4 or 5 mile trip.
Yeah.
Easily, if you go out the lake, it's a lot more than that. And we do a lot of business out in Nebraska and some at Pelican. So one of the big things we track is the economic impact we have on the city. It's part of our software. And last year, our economic impact to the community was a little over $3 million.
And doesn't Watertown Transit have an agreement with Prairie Lakes Hospital as well?
We have an agreement
Talk
with
about
Prairie
that?
Lakes, and we started that in 2015, where we provide the rides. Prairie Lakes picks up the tab for any medical related trip in the city. Doesn't matter if it's to Prairie Lakes or Sanford, Brown, chiropractor, dentist, whatever.
Eye doctors.
We provide the ride, they pay the bill.
It's a great service.
Is that a round trip then? Do they pay both ways?
Great
They pay
partnership.
both ways, yes.
Okay.
It started out in 2015 when we first started. They were anticipating 400 or 500 rides a month. We are averaging about 1,000.
Wow.
And they haven't blinked an eye. They're more than happy to be doing it. So
Have you switched the vans and buses over to E30?
yes,
And what kind of a savings did you find when you did that?
it's been good. I mean, there was no effect on the mileage, or very little. I mean, no effect on the vehicles themselves. So the savings has been quite significant.
And I hope that all of our county vehicles are running on E30. I mean, it's very, very economical. Especially now that we're bumping $3 gas again. It's going to make a lot of difference.
I don't know if did you have on there about the dog tags and that, where we help the youth out in the summer?
Oh, okay, yeah. In the summer, so much of our traffic is youth. I mean, we do about 40% of our ridership is youth. So when school's out, rides go down. Well, a couple years ago, we decided we got to figure out a way to keep that summer ridership up. So one of the programs we implemented was called the Dog Days of Summer, and we issued dog tags. The kids from ages 4 to 13, they're $50, and it provides them with unlimited rides throughout the summer.
Wow.
Now, some families that buy them really take advantage of that, and we've lost a little bit on that, but we've also gained some passengers that will stay with us year round, and we've also found some areas or some donors who are willing to back that program, so that it's not a losing proposition, it's a win.
Right, and it's an opportunity for our youth. A lot of those maybe wouldn't be able to attend some of those activities if we didn't provide that service, so that's been a benefit for the youth of our community.
Or they use it 3-4 times a day. So, summer long. And it is from the first day of vacation till the last day.
Have you got room in there for a kayak and a fishing pole?
We find a way. No, we transported some odd things, but
Yep.
there are limits.
You transport some odd people, right?
Oh, yeah,
That's
that's part of the game. So
Yeah.
that's part of the game.
Well, thank you for coming in and sharing this with
I
us.
just want to know, want you guys to know what we're doing, what's going on, because and try and
This really helps.
understand why we want that.
When we see your budget requests, that helps us a lot. We appreciate that. I would like to see more people do what you're doing right now. Thank you.
Yeah, and you see those transit buses all over town,
Yeah.
moving around all the time, and I think that's a great service that you folks provide. So
Well,
thank
we feel it's pretty significant to the infrastructure.
It is.
It's, you know, no matter how much education we do, people still don't know what we do.
you. Right.
I had somebody the other day who I really thought was in tune with us. They said, "How many buses?" I said, "I thought we had 3 or 4."
So how do people reach out if they're watching this today? How do they reach out to you to get a hold of you to set up a time to be picked up?
They just
the
got to
process.
call into the office and book
Okay.
their ride, and you have to do it a day in advance.
Yep.
Okay.
That's
say
all
A lot
I
of
do.
town trips are 2 days in advance. That's a little trickier to schedule.
And
Okay.
what's your phone number? You may just want to put that out
It's
there.
882-5287.
And this is a vital role. There's a lot of folks who utilize the transit to get to work and employment also that we provide. There's a great number of those that I didn't realize either that,
Well, there was a day that when public transit was the elderly and handicapped, is all it was. Our largest group of riders, like I said, is the youth, second is for employment. Medical, even with the Prairie Lakes contract, is third.
Yeah.
So it's,
So
One area that we should just keep an eye on is, you know, we still have American Legion or Veterans van, VA van that we run to Sioux Falls or wherever. We are having more trouble finding drivers, volunteer drivers for that thing, and maybe down the road we should keep looking at. It may be less expensive for the VA to use you than have a van sitting out here in the parking lot, you know, 7 or 5 days of the week, 5 out of 7, and then only used once or twice a month maybe sometimes, you know.
Terry and I have actually already kind of had those discussions and
But I get with Al and start communicating with Al and Al Jansen, our veterans officer here, and just see if something like that would work.
yeah, as Brenda said, we've made some contacts there, and not just with them, but with other organizations,
Problem
all
is-
veterans, and we continue to do that.
Yeah.
because We really
Appreciate
want to tap into that
yeah,
area.
provide that service.
Yeah.
Terry, I'm sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
What time do you start?
We start at
utilizing
6
them?
a.m., and we run through 6 p.m. Monday through Friday. Saturday is 6 a.m. to 4 p.m. Now, we say that 6 a.m., but a lot of people that use us have to be to work by 6, so we're out there
Right.
before that to try and get them where they're going.
Okay.
And the Saturday service is also something that we have just implemented.
We started that a year ago, and that went very well. So we're entering our second year there, and we'll continue to hopefully see that grow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you have to have tokens?
You can use the tokens, or you can pay by cash.
You can pay by cash.
Yeah, you can. And eventually someday there will be the fare cards. We're not to that point yet, but that is where it's headed. So
Mr. Chairman, just ask a couple questions. So you said 1,000 rides per month, roughly?
with Prairie Lakes.
With Prairie Lakes, okay. And then how much is the rural ridership? Is that just to have a rough idea?
Rural ridership in Cottington County is very, very small. That is something we wanted to get out and change last summer. We are going to get out and change it this summer, or we attempt to
Yeah,
change it.
okay.
That's the first thing we're going to do when the summer hits. And
Right.
Because it is very minimal. We have one person in Florence that we transport fairly regularly, and the others are hit and miss. We actually right now do more in Clark and Hamlin than we do
Interesting, okay.
Cottington.
Okay.
Right, and we have reached out to the smaller communities, so we've had those conversations. It's just, at this point, they're not interested in utilizing it, so.
But we didn't get out there last year, so we'll be in this year, and we'll see if we can get some interest. You know, one day, what we see is one day a week, bus to Florence, you know, or bus to South Shore a different day, or whatever, you know, just at least give them one-day service and they can plan their trips to town around that. And the more people that get on the bus, we'll have a break in the rates, you know.
And the transit has to plan as well, because they're just
Yeah,
so
I
busy
get that.
making the routes right here in town that
Yeah,
that's a challenge.
It's tough.
And then on the economic impact figure you mentioned, do you know how that's computed? What kind of a rough?
What we did, we provided the software, people that run the software, we provided them with what we thought, you know, an average medical trip, how much money they would actually, you know, what do you pay when you actually go to a medical clinic?
Okay.
You know, or a trip to school, you know, if the parents have to take time off from work, to take their kids to school, or the mileage.
Right, okay.
It's just,
Yeah.
they're not exact, I mean.
No, I know, I just want to get
they're
the,
rough.
yeah.
And honestly, I think we're a little light on the numbers we give them.
Okay.
It could be even higher.
Just so people have an understanding of what that is.
But we average, during this winter, we topped 400 rides per day mark several times. And we got our new high was 435.
Wow, that's a lot of rides.
That's a little bit more than what we can.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
extreme.
Terry, have you guys ever thought about going to an online booking system?
Yeah, we have, but it causes some issues.
Okay.
We're not ready for that yet.
Yeah,
We don't have the staff to handle that yet.
okay.
It just takes a little bit more than what we
You
have
bet.
at this
I
point.
understand.
We all get out and drive. I know our board has asked me not to drive, but there are some times you just have to. You know, if I try to do it early in the morning, you know, and then still come in and do my duties, Debbie drives quite often as well. I don't know the director in the state that doesn't have to get out and drive sometimes. It's just
Yeah.
the nature of the game.
Yeah, These guys are extremely busy.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Good questions.
Good stuff.
Thank you very much.
Have a good week.
All right.
Thanks for the update.
Thank you.
Oh, well, then call it.
I was just gonna let him know we're about 10, 15 minutes out.
For the dog, eh?
No, yeah.
4 to 13.
Okay, thanks.
Is that a family rate or an individual rate?
Individual.
Okay. Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, and Luke, we're about 10 minutes out, okay? Thank you. Bye. Sorry for that. I tell all of you people not to use the telephone during the meeting, and then I use it. I should buy rules. I guess,
Rules
when I
next
go to
time.
them. I had to notify Luke. He's with a client. He wants to be here for wrap up the meeting. Let's go on number 6. Action to declare computer equipment surplus. That is in your packet. There's a listing of a lot of things coming out of the treasurer's office. And were they all out of the treasurer's office?
Yes, they were. A couple months or maybe a month ago, you authorized the purchase of some new computers for the treasurer's office. These are the old computers, and it's in the best interest to destroy these computers. They're old. You know, we try to erase the data from them, but just to be sure that nothing is being, we don't want to sell these, in other words.
I'll make a motion to declare the computer equipment surplus.
Motion by Van Dusen, second by Waterman. Any discussion? Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carries. Next item on there is action to approve project for parking lot, crack filling and coating, etc. Milo, that's your baby. It's in your packet. There's a couple of quotes.
Good morning.
Morning, Milo.
This is a planned project, or planned projects. I'll start the first one, the County Ag Building Complex. This would be dealing with the parking lot to the west of the county offices. And I have a proposal in here to do a seal on the parking lot, do crack filling, and also mill out some bad areas that are in disrepair. Now, I did visit with our highway superintendent, Rick. I ran these figures by him, and he thought it looked like a fair price. The quote or the estimate for that particular project is $16,294. This is a budgeted item. This is a little bit higher than I had budgeted for, but I have funds left over from snow removal to kind of make up the difference on there, so it's not going to be a cause of heartburn, put it that way.
Well, it's important to maintain that so that, I mean, we finally have a nice,
So
it's a
if
lot
we
better than it used to be.
Don't take care of our parking lots and stuff, it's going to lead to a lot more money down the
Yeah.
road.
It's a busy one.
Exactly.
Question, Milo.
Yes.
Does this go on the west side and then alongside the building going south up to that fence?
Probably not all the way to the fence, just primarily the north of the ag barn, you know, that section of the parking lot there.
Okay.
Do you want them separately or make a
I think we do them
motion?
together, I think.
Yeah, I think
Together?
so.
Okay.
Just for clarification,
Yes.
north of the ag barn, I'm trying to envision where this is at. So north of the ag barn, that's the only section that's being done?
Just west of the administrative building.
Right.
Up to that
right.
egg barn and then just that area.
Yep.
That section, okay.
Okay. The second proposal here is actually for the courthouse parking lot. And this one is just a crack filling project. You know, they'll come in and router out the major cracks and, you know, blow them out with, you know, their air compressor and then fill in the cracks with, you know, the hot mixture.
This is no resealing then?
No, this is just a strictly
Crack repair.
crack fill. And the cost on that one is $4,475.
I'll make a motion to approve those
Motion by
projects.
Second by Waterman. Any discussion? All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carries. Let's get them sealed up.
Okay.
Thank you, Milo.
Thanks,
Thanks,
Milo.
Milo.
Could you give me the heads up when you get to the old business, new business portion of it?
It's gonna be quick.
It won't be too long now.
Will it be short? I won't be.
It's because of the seal code.
Yep.
It's because of the seal code.
Do we have any claims, Cindy? Number 9.
We have several claims for payment. I put those in your packets this morning. I did not have the copies until yesterday. These are our claims that we usually pay at the end of the month for some of our charge cards, and then we had a couple of other claims to pay. The first one is to Clark County, and it's for the Sioux Valley Commissioners District meeting, which is tomorrow. And that is in the amount of $66 for 6 employees from the Commissioners, Register of Deeds, and the Highway Department. We also have a deputy workshop for 2, you approved the travel last week, but we did not get the registration form in time, and that's $150 for 2 employees for the SDACO deputy workshop. We have a claim to Visa in the amount of $290.57 for the sheriff's office for various items, postage and fuel, looks like what most of it is. We also have another Visa claim in the amount of $374.39, and that was for emergency management for various charges. Looks like most of it is fuel, a little bit of postage, but most of it is for travel.
Move to approve.
And, one more, sorry. And then we have the Watertown Motor Company, Watertown Ford for $27,363. And that is for the first of 2 vehicles that you authorized the sheriff to purchase, patrol vehicles. And that is for a 2018 Ram.
Move to approve those
We have a
claims.
motion by Hamel, second by Gable. Any discussion? Any questions? Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carries. Number 10, action to approve abatement applications. We have 1.
And we have one of those. This is a taxpayer who qualified for a state program that freezes your assessment. It's also been sent to the city of Watertown for the council to act on. The amount of the abatement is $599.30.
Make a motion to approve.
Second
We have
that.
a motion by Van Duzen, second by Canton. Any discussion? Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All same sign, motion carries. action to approve any automatic budget supplements.
None of those today.
And number 12, action to approve personnel changes. We have one of those, I think.
Oh, we have a number of
Oh,
those.
yeah.
I laid some,
Yep, they're in the packet.
yep. The first one is new hire in the building maintenance department. Larry Merchant will start at step 3, $15.85. He will be replacing a retiring employee. The payroll officer in the auditor's office, Jody Pearson, is due her anniversary step increase to step 12, $21.09 per hour. The detention center cook is due her step increase to step 9, $18.29 an hour. That's Marcy Rosso. And then these next 3 are all part-time correctional officers to maintain our part-time pool, which cuts down on the overtime of the full-time correctional officers, and they are Lori Smith, Alex Hansen, and Jacob Millett, and they will all start at step 1, $17.46 an hour, and these employees do not qualify for benefits.
Move
Say
to
that 3
approve.
times fast, part-time pool.
Move to approve.
We have a motion by Hacken, second by Gable. Any discussion? Seeing none? All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. And again, thank you employees for your hard work and diligence. We really appreciate you, and we never get time enough ever to say thank you. So again, thank you employees. Let's go on then to number 12, action to approve personnel changes. We just
Yep, we did that.
Let's go on to travel requests. We have one of those.
One travel request for the welfare assistant Angela Hyde to attend a homeless summit.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Motion by Van Duzen, second
Second.
by Gable. Any discussion? Where was that at?
It's in Chamberlain.
Chamberlain.
It's a budgeted item.
Yep. Okay. Any discussion? Anything else? Seeing none, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carries. All right, let's go on then to mature business. Any old business that we have this morning?
Milo had something?
Milo? Yep.
I'm not sure.
It's kind of newish.
It's old or new?
Old, new in between.
It's new by an old man. So.
I'm getting older every day too. I would comment, yesterday we had a power outage, which significant majority of Watertown experienced. Just for your information.
Outlying areas also.
Pardon?
What was the noise? Did you ever find out what?
Oh yeah, that was the speaker system up in the courtroom.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So, you know, we did have a bit of an extended power outage here.
Sorry, the media.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
We put in our new policy into effect. We went into lockdown so we could help protect the public in that situation with no lights and that kind of thing. Everything worked well. Didn't get a whole lot of complaints. We probably need to remind our employees that it is our policy to go into lockdown when we have a power outage situation. And, that's something I'll address with an email, you know, to the group. What I wanted to discuss today concerns the remodel project. We've run into, I don't want to call it complications, but we have with the new locking system coming in with the remodel, we have the potential for having 3 different systems going in the building, which is not a good thing. And I have been in contact with the engineers and with various people about what we can do to accommodate this. So this is just kind of for your information. But we will be planning on converting our old locking system into a new upgraded system that will correlate with what's being installed. Would that be a good way to put it, Lee?
I guess maybe the easier thing to say, basically that's what the spec says, is that it needs to be able to work with what we have. The subcontractor is recommending a different locking system. He feels pretty strongly about the different brands of locking systems, and so he's recommending to put the one he recommends that he thinks is higher quality in the remodel. He would recommend changing the whole thing. The whole thing. No, it's not a change order.
We're talking about locking systems, just for clarification, we're talking about door locking systems?
Door locking systems, so the fobs that you use to do.
This won't be a change order, but it's one of those anticipated extra expenses that will come along, and it's going to be in the neighborhood of $9,000 to $10,000 when the time comes to do that conversion.
Yeah, so that what we're talking about is like if we go with what the subcontractor would do, a newer type of locking system. I can't remember the brand of that one that he highly recommends, as opposed to the one we have in the courthouse now. And then eventually you'd probably want to get them all in the same system at some point. Now, he did, this particular, the subcontractor said he would consider waiving the labor costs if you wanted to go ahead and do that now, but that's something outside the remodel project, and so that's the issue.
We'll be saving over $5,000 by incorporating this into the remodeling, or doing it at the same time as the remodeling project.
Yeah, that's better.
The paperwork, the shop drawings haven't even been submitted yet for that part of the project, so.
I think it's important.
A little bit early, but I just wanted to make you aware.
Right. It's important to keep all the locking system uniform, I believe, and for efficiency reasons, just,
Correct.
it'd be very confusing if you have 3 different systems going. And
So the possibility is, I mean, we could demand that they just stick with the current locking system, but the subcontractor really doesn't recommend doing that.
I don't think that is a good plan.
I think you agree with, I think you agree with him. And then, so if we decide that we'll do the new one, and then there might be a period of time where we have a few different things going on, and then eventually get to it if we don't feel like it, or we can try, if there's money available, to go ahead as a separate project to upgrade.
Correct.
But in order to get the better pricing, it needs to be done now, when we're in the process.
I need to get some numbers to us, Model.
When we get to that point, I'll get numbers here. Like I said, I wasn't expecting any kind of a decision today. This was just a
FYI.
kind of for an FYI.
Can I ask Mr. Commissioner Gable, maybe you can just clarify this for me. I guess I just don't understand what is so different about this system that they're recommending compared to what we have.
I think the current one has some proprietary issues that make it a little harder to manage.
Correct.
And then this other one is a higher quality, much easier to troubleshoot if you ever have any problems. In fact, they don't have very many problems because this vendor does this kind of stuff. He's about a Sioux Falls, so anyway.
If we were to leave things the way it is, you will have to have a fob to get in the back door, and you'll have to have an additional fob to get into your office.
Okay.
So I mean, it's
A little bit,
just one of those things that just something that makes sense to do
I understand.
when the time comes.
Okay.
Did you have something?
No, I don't. I'll just skip it. Thank you.
How about the wedding?
That remained a working project. We have a request to hold a wedding party out at Memorial Park in September. This particular couple had their entire wedding scheduled for Hidewood Lake, up in that Selby area.
That's where the dam broke.
Hiddenwood Lake.
Where the Hiddenwood Lake, where they experienced that 9 inches of rain.
And I said, we certainly want to help this young couple out if we possibly can. And I know that it would run later in the evening and they want a dance. And we handle this, I think, rather astutely. a few years ago when they wanted to have this blast off or whatever they called it out at the extension center. They were all checking their bass systems or had a contest of who could play the loudest music or something. And we just went around to the neighborhood and informed all the people what was going to happen and when it was going to happen. And we had maybe one or two complaints that people didn't get the message or whatever. But if you keep the people informed, they're pretty tolerable, and they will probably send wedding gifts to this couple.
So, Milo, where are they looking at having this wedding dance? And
Actually, this will be over in the west section of the park. Actually, what we call the double shelter. You know, they're proposing to have their wedding dance, you know, outside in the shelter with a DJ. And the initial plans, they wanted to run until midnight or later, and I said that's probably not acceptable. You know, we do have neighbors.
those neighbors on Parkview Drive would probably be the ones that we would have to be concerned with the most.
We've pared that back to an 11 o'clock end time, you know, which they're happy with, I'm happy with, as long as we can comply with the city, you know, whatever the city standards are for, you know, noise ordinance.
I know it'd be going above and beyond, but we're Watertown and we're counting and counting. We like to go above and beyond, and
absolutely.
Maybe if the snowmobile could be available, maybe it would be something that they could use, or, you know, I know they would like to use that sheltered area there probably, but talk to the city and see if that's, you know, let's help them out. You know, good deeds go a long way.
Okay.
Anything else, Milo?
That's all for me.
Thanks, Milo.
Thanks,
So
Milo.
what color is the roof going to be on the building out there?
I was thinking Packers yellow and green.
I can tell you right now that our reservations are going to go down. That's not a good idea.
I'll tell you what, you put Packers on one side and put purple and gold on the other then, all right?
Well, it could be John Deere.
I hate to disappoint anybody, but the new roof color at the Ag Building will be a charcoal gray.
Charcoal gray.
We're full of excitement at the Ag Building.
How dull is that? Oh, yeah. Thank you, Milo. Have a
Mr.
good
Chairman, there's one thing.
Good work. New business.
Mr. Chairman, just one thing, just on the fire alarm part of it, just to keep people aware also, we took care of the sprinkler thing, there's also a fire alarm piece to that puzzle, and so we got the same provider of that service from the jail doing up a quote. So we're still waiting on that, just for everybody's information. So Milo's been honchoing that process too. So.
Thank you, Milo.
Okay.
Thanks, Milo.
Thanks, Milo.
All right, any new business? I guess that was new and old, and let's concentrate on new. Anybody have any new business?
Hey, Mr. Chairman?
Sure.
Just a couple things real quick. Just one is the JDAI meeting at noon today. JDAI stands for Juvenile Detention Alternative Initiative, so that's at the Watertown School conference room at noon for Commissioner Van Dusen. I think will be there, and I think probably either Tom or Brad from the Sheriff's Office or both. And then tomorrow we have our Sioux Valley Commissioners meeting. So just wanted to mention that I'm hoping to put forth a resolution about the similar to what we did back in 2015, but at the level of the Sioux Valley, the regional group, Sioux Valley Commissioners. Last time we did it as our commission in Cottington County, and what the resolution would do would be to propose to the legislature a law to allow counties to ask voters for half-penny sales tax as opposed to property tax when it comes time to work on a jail or a court facility, stuff that's required by law. So that's it in a nutshell. So.
Do you have that on the agenda, or did you contact them?
I contacted them. They said it would just come under new business. So.
I will need one of you to take that check with you tomorrow because I will not be going to the meeting.
Okay, and I have talked to the director's office. We have a vehicle reserved for us, whoever's going.
What
So
time are you going to leave?
11?
11?
11, okay.
Parking lot?
Yes.
All right.
Okay.
Anything else?
Just I can send, if you guys want to see it, I have a draft of that resolution if you want to, anybody.
That'd be good.
Yeah, so I'll
Send an
send.
email.
Yeah, okay.
All right, anything for the open now? Any other new business or anything for the open?
The open, there could be a forum of commissioners, obviously, tonight at the candidate forum, 6 o'clock, LATI. And like Lee mentioned, the Sioux Valley Commissioner meeting in Clark, We got the notification, there's kind of a introduction to drug court and how that process works that we were invited to, 10 a.m. Friday morning. There will be several graduations going on that maybe there could end up being a few of us at one, you never know.
I'll be at one, for sure.
So, that's all I have.
I'll be at one in Mankato. Anybody else going to Mankato?
We don't meet next week, so there we go.
Yeah, no commission meeting next week. Don't forget that.
Right.
The next
So
one's
other
June
than
7th.
that, graduation parties, that would be all that I have until our next meeting, that there could be a formal commission.
Okay,
Probably it'd be good to remind folks that the next meeting is June the 7th, correct?
Correct.
Yeah, so not Tuesday the 5th, because that's election day, so.
that's right.
And that's also the day, so canvassing the vote, but that's also the day of the public hearing for ordinance 68 again.
The amendment.
Yep, the amendment, yep.
I didn't have my speaker on.
Anything else? Any other comments for the open? From anyone out here in the audience? That being said, we will go into executive session. I've got a request for a discussion on a personnel issue and also contracts,
Number
union
3.
contracts. So it's 1
And 3.
and 3 and 4, 1 and 3, I guess.
Make a motion to go in.
We have a motion by Hatton to go to executive session, and second by Waterman. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Same sign, we are in executive session. And Luke and Becky, we will